Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another exciting Propagandacast with me, your host, Imperial Dane. And today I have for you a 1 vs 1 on Sturzdorf. Yes, indeed, another bombed out industrial town, or at least not entirely bombed out compared to so many other towns in Company of Heroes. It's actually pretty intact. Trucks everywhere, some dumping things into burning pits of fire. Others just standing about, completely left behind. Sturzdorf, of course, sort of being divided by all of these buildings. Lots of dead angles, lots of things where the defenders might suddenly find it a lot hard to actually keep things clear, because all of a sudden you've got someone who snuck up on you, and either in hand grenade range or ready to use his flamethrower against you, which of course can provide a bit of trouble. And of course anti-tank guns can also be facing a bit, and of course the buildings do provide some nice protection for vehicles to sort of sneak about and even perhaps flank your own vehicles. So that is something vital to keep note of, and it's certainly one of the reasons why I hate playing on this map, but that's just me personally. But let us go have a look at our opponents. In the northern half we are seeing Raubspinne of the 116th Panzer Division Windhund. Not the clan, but the actual division, ready to fight for the fatherland in what remains somewhere near the Hürtgen forest, I suppose. At least I rather for some reason like to use this as the Hürtgen area, sort of in Germany. Lots of, well, forests and such. And of course lots of Opel Blitz trucks. And who shall be facing him? It shall be our good old friend Rommelslayer of the 29th Infantry Division making his way. How shall things be going? I don't know, but let us get right to it. Kettenkrad, of course not a Schwimmwagen, but a Kettenkrad. Panzer Grenadiers on the way. Kettenkrad heading towards the east, actually. Might have some plans here with all of this fuel, for all I know. In the meanwhile, Rommelslayer setting up the barracks like a good little Rommelslayer. Slowly pitching the tent, more engineers arriving on the field. No further teams on the way, though. No blinking lights further continuing to blink. So just 2 engineer teams, which of course is not a bad start. And a nice bit of politeness right there. Hello, good luck, have fun. Hi is just the response. Panzer Grenadiers continuing. Gewehr 43 equipped for some of them. And you too. And Kettenkrad going for this munitions point. High munitions, in fact. Of course, could be meaning he's going for a lot of munitions. We'll have to see, and there we go. The Gewehr 43 is on the 1st Panzer Grenadier team. Engineers continuing themselves towards the east. No one so far going through here, and of course might be because Rommelslayer does realize this is sort of the hotspot where eventually someone will go, and looks like the Panzer Grenadiers will be going there. Instead he will be going towards the more richer eastern territories that won't be quite as exposed right away. In fact, there's a high munitions point right there as well. Oh, the fun. First rifleman team arrives on the field, more Panzer Grenadiers on the way. Riflemen heading towards the center. Engineers continuing their trek eastwards. And Kettenkrad also doing that, but of course it might run into some engineers, possibly even some riflemen, while the Panzer Grenadiers themselves are rather veering towards the west, where there will be absolutely nothing to oppose them. So that's going to be a rather interesting thing. We'll of course have to see how this sort of evolves as things continue towards east and west, sort of continually missing each other, but eventually they will be hitting each other, and it will be the Kettenkrad that will be stuck right in the middle of it. Panzer Grenadiers continuing in the west, while the Americans are continuing in the east. More riflemen arriving on the field, more Panzer Grenadiers on the way. Of course, note, Panzer Grenadiers aren't really the best at taking territory, and as you can note, it's not the fastest rate, in particular since these are medium points, and they do have to sort of lower than most troops and units, so keep that in mind. And looks like the riflemen are hitting the 1st Panzer Grenadiers, and they're going to find themselves awfully outgunned. Lots of Panzer Grenadiers, not an awful lot of riflemen. 1st Panzer Grenadier though goes down, and again he's sort of trying to take a point while under fire. Generally you don't want to be doing that, and oh dear, these Panzer Grenadiers down to 1 man. They will have to retreat, and there we go, a bit of a waste. Riflemen now sneaking in from the west, rather realizing this is where all the Panzer Grenadiers are. So flanking around, and of course getting at some good shots there on the Panzer Grenadiers, who are not in cover, because again heavy cover is in most cases directional, and right here there's absolutely nothing really protecting themselves except some trees, some light cover. Riflemen instead taking up position right here in this heavy cover, and the others are charging in while the Panzer Grenadiers are occupied with the others, but they might be getting a bit too close. We'll have to see. Lots of firepower being directed against these Panzer Grenadiers. There we go, veterancy 1, and of course Panzer Grenadiers are a great source of veterancy for riflemen. 4 Panzer Grenadiers dead, and you'll have a veterancy 1 rifleman team. Something to be very careful of. And looks like the Panzer Grenadiers continue to fight. Some riflemen are beyond cover though. 1 goes down, and the rest are retreating, rather realizing he's probably not going to be winning this. Another goes down, 2 back on the retreat. But the east is currently the Americans, more or less, gaining the high fuel point, in fact. And we are seeing a logistic company going up. More Panzer Grenadiers getting reinforced. Riflemen the same. More riflemen on the way as well. Good show, good show. And we are seeing increased squad sizes. Nothing highly unusual there. I see it used a lot, although it's mostly just Panzer Grenadiers then going for armored cars, but logistic company, and then increased squad size. Of course, he's going to be relying rather heavily on his Panzer Grenadiers rather than relying heavily on tough infantry forces. And the 4-man Panzer Grenadier team is certainly something to be feared. A lot of firepower they can muster, although not quite the same amount as a 4-man Grenadier team, who still are a bit more accurate and a bit more nasty. Riflemen engaging the Panzer Grenadiers. There we go, increased squad sizes. Of course, there will be quite a bit of reinforcement to do there for these 4 teams. It's probably going to cost him quite a bit, almost close to 200 manpower, and hitting a mine. Good show there from Rommelslayer, laying down some mines to catch those Panzer Grenadiers. Large force of riflemen continuing through here. 1 Panzer Grenadier team down to 1 man, retreating right past all of these riflemen. And now the Kettenkrad is exposed. Engineers running away. Kettenkrad also trying to get out of there, but no. Engineer runs into it, but then we know the Kettenkrad does not make it, crashing it into a tank barrier of some sort, or at least what looks like to be a barricade composed of rusty barbed wire and tank traps. Panzer Grenadiers are still sneaking about. Riflemen with veterancy 1 charging in. And these riflemen are standing a bit out in the open though against the Panzer Grenadiers, who are still themselves out in the open, but no, they managed to get into a building, and these riflemen are now in a rather nasty bind, unable to fire about, and there we go. Several losses. We are seeing defensive operations going up for Mr. Raubspinne and his 116th Panzer Grenadiers, but at the same time though, I do have to question the wisdom in this. Might be a bit too much over the top, in particular since Mr. Rommelslayer might be going for motor pool, and in fact is. And again, if you don't see some sort of BA or grenades within a certain amount of time, you're probably going to should be expecting an armored car. Sadly, seems to be not doing that. Wait, there we go. Panzer Support Command and an anti-tank half-track. Although the Panzer Grenadiers have taken quite a beating. So, and some of the riflemen have been taking that as well, but that's to a lesser extent. Riflemen sneaking in from the rear might be engaging these Panzer Grenadiers, who are certainly low on health and men. Americans pushing through in the west. Good show there. Panzer Support Command going up, and rather interestingly, he has an awful lot of munitions, but he's not really using it. He could have been gotten some more Gewehr 43s to really increase the firepower of all his Panzer Grenadiers, but sadly he seems reluctant to do that, or something else, not entirely sure how to specify it. The Panzer Grenadiers are now arriving at the base, getting reinforced, healed up, patched up, while some unfortunate few are still left behind. Enemy lines, and the Americans under Rommelslayer are really pushing forwards now, taking up positions in buildings, taking territory, really cutting the Panzer Elite off for most of it. In fact, there we go, 14 Panzer Grenadiers with Gewehr 43s opening up on these riflemen. Riflemen are quite wounded, and oh dear, they're caught right in the line of fire of the flak, feeling at the base. Oh dear, running right past all of these Panzer Grenadiers. And another shot, and this rifleman could be lost. No, he barely makes it out of there. It's a bit unfortunate that Mr. Raubspinne didn't actually move his panzer grenades from there to here a bit faster. That might actually have cost Rommelslayer an infantry team. Anti-tank half-track on the way. That's probably going to be good. And we are seeing mines being laid down here. Sort of, this is a nice spot actually. Bit of a bottleneck there, but riflemen are standing out in the open. Panzer grenades moving in. Gewehr 43s firing away with some Kar 98Ks as well. The elite panzer grenades are certainly not to be messed with. Engineers sneaking behind as well. Panzer grenades getting reinforced. Anti-tank half-track still on the move. Kettenkraut trying to take this point. For some reason it might have been a misclick and it's not happening. Bit unfortunate. Still no additional Gewehr 43s. He has an awful lot of munitions and he really ought to be spending it on something. Anti-tank half-track advancing. Panzer grenades also could be awfully close to hitting that mine. No, they ignore it. Going to deal with these riflemen instead. And panzer grenades moving in from the base as well. Catching these riflemen right between things. Light anti-tank half-track moves in. Could it be focused fire? It will be using. That would be good. Perhaps, yes, indeed. Might look like it. And what is this? Rommelslayer being rather sneaky, using the time where the Panzer Elite is rather inactive to lay down tank traps to block out their main route from the base. Very sneaky. I like it. Certainly nice to see some tank traps being used. And of course the Panzer Elite, rather lacking the heavy demolitions, or at least the availability of them, will be having some trouble getting them. Of course they can get a vampire half-track, get some Goliaths. And he certainly has the munitions for it, but will he be going for it? That's of course the other thing. And we are seeing a half-track as well. Riflemen being reinforced. Good show there. Certainly increases the firepower and mobility of his troops on the field. And of course the longevity, how long they can actually stay due to the half-track being able to reinforce them. Good show there. Anti-tank half-track moving in. And we are seeing the quad mount for the half-track. Oh dear, these panzer grenades on the wrong side of the heavy cover. They're going to be torn apart. No, the anti-tank half-track's ignoring them, but those riflemen inside the building will still be able to fire away on them. Panzer grenades here taking heavy losses. Anti-tank half-track moves in. And panzer grenades in heavy cover, which is nice. More anti-tank half-tracks moving in. Will we be seeing some sort of, I don't know, focused fire to deal with some of all those riflemen? That would be nice. No, instead anti-tank half-tracks moving to deal with the half-track. Destroyed engine. And looks like anti-tank half-track, but somehow it does absolutely no damage. But the engine is completely gone. Rifleman moving close. Panzer grenades out in the open of it. Oh dear. And still, why no focused fire? Or is that it? Again, if you can use focused fire against infantry, it can really make a difference. I mean, every shot will be a kill. And that's not to be underestimated. It can really take the impetus or the impetus out of an assault. It can really ruin the momentum, if anything else, and really cause some heavy losses. So again, I really strongly urge and recommend that if you have an anti-tank half-track, you're seeing infantry going against you, use focus fire if you can. It can make a difference beyond. That will make you happy. And looks like we are getting the Panzer Support Command upgraded. American half-track is lost, but still there are plenty of riflemen on the field. Mines being laid down, in fact in great numbers. Some forced retreat. Still mines. That's certainly going to prove a very nasty thing for the 116th. And let us go have a look at Rommelslayer, who has gone for infantry company, of course, since his riflemen can lay down mines. That's something only infantry commanders can do. And looks like more tank traps, in fact, to sort of really make things hard for Mr. Raubspinne to actually move about with his vehicles. And I actually don't believe you knew you could lay down tank traps that fast, but then again, that might be an advantage of infantry company and defensive operations, I suppose. Still, that's nice to see. Always good with some tank traps. It can actually make a difference if you use them. And of course that's really going to limit the operations of Mr. Raubspinne. He, for example, can't move his vehicles out through here, and even here it's going to cause him some problems. And of course that could also leave the openings much more vulnerable, because then all Rommelslayer needs to do is lay down a bunch of mines. And another Kettenkrad, unfortunately caught out in the open still, no doctrine for him. You can see that on the back of the Kettenkrad. The shrimp marking does not really offer anything like that. 116th Panzer Grenadiers pushing on in the west. Half-tracks moving in to join up there. Of course can still move through here, which of course would be a nice spot to mine. Anti-tank gun up. M8 ready, crashing into the Petlevsky factory building. Rather than engaging these Panzer Grenadiers right here, although the rifleman looks like to be losing. Anti-tank half-tank having hit a mine, not good. Damaged engine and quite damaged as well. Pushing through here in the center. Half-track moving in to support rifleman, slowly advancing. Staying within the brush and all that. Good show there. Anti-tank half-track's moving in to deal with... Oh dear, a mine was hit right there. Killing an entire Panzer Grenadier team, most unfortunate. And another mine is hit. My goodness, Rommelslayer has been a really cheeky devil and just been mining like there was no tomorrow. Now the Panzer IV, Panzer F1 moving in. Blasting away with its stubby low velocity 75mm gun. And the infantry support tank was actually rather the original intent of the Panzer IV, basically to support the infantry. And then the Panzer III was really the tank supposed to deal with the armor, but that was rather quickly changed and late as the war progressed. And the Panzer III chances really couldn't hold anything bigger than a 50mm gun, or well, it could also hold the low velocity 75mm gun, but anything beyond that, and the chances simply wouldn't be able to hold it. Incendiary grenades, no. Anti-tank grenades apparently being used. Not too well there, but sneaking behind the anti-tank gun. And looks like, oh dear, this might be a heavy loss for Rommelslayer. Main gun destroyed on the... Oh dear, an anti-tank gun is lost. And the M8 Greyhound down. I repeat, Greyhound down. And I do believe it's time for the mid-game analysis. And another mine is hit just as I said that. Quite interesting. Things are looking a bit interesting. I mean, Rommelslayer has really been putting into effect that at one point at least he hold most of the territory, and probably realized, well, I can't bloody well hold all of this. What do? Well, I lay down a lot of mines, and so, according to the Gospel of Rommelslayer, or perhaps Dane, he proceeded to lay down a ridiculous amount of mines here, here, and here. And of course, as we saw in that other game by me with on Angerville, mines can really make one hell of a difference if you lay down enough of them. Sadly, Mr. Raubspinne doesn't really seem to be acknowledging that and keeps hitting them. And of course he needs a Kettenkrad track to spot them, and he needs something else to set off those mines. Another Panzer IV at the same time, though, getting ready for the Panzer Support Command. Quite interesting. So, having lost an M8 and an anti-tank gun, and recruiting it with some of his Panzer Grenadier teams, which will cause him an entire Panzer Grenadier team, which is a bit unfortunate, but still. Let's not dwell too much in that, although it's not something I would do, and he needs to get it back and reinforced and repaired, otherwise it's not going to live for very long. Still, holding the center, having driven the forces of Rommelslayer away, leaving him once more only with infantry. Although another anti-tank gun is on the way. Raubspinne is himself lacking a bit of infantry himself, though, and some vehicles have gone boom, but still not completely. So he might still be able to turn things around, although he needs to get more infantry. What sort is, of course, a different manner. Let's return to the fight. Rommelslayer has lost an anti-tank gun, which is now property of the 116th Panzer Division. Probably its anti-tank companies of one of those Panzer Grenadier divisions, or regiments, or battalions. Oh, battalions.
Our front lines are collapsing.
And looks like some riflemen advancing. Considering there's been an absolute lack of half-track, this has probably been one of the motorized, which would have relied on trucks, and of course you don't bring trucks to a fight, at least not directly. And Panzer IV locking down. This is really going to increase its rate of fire. Armored skirts up to protect itself against potential sticky bombs. And it's just blasting away those riflemen and sticky bombs just at this very moment, getting ready. 2 goes off. Panzer IV blasts away. Takes a damaged engine, which is on fire, apparently. Riflemen continuing the work. Anti-tank half-track opens up. Could it be focused fire? Engineers right in the middle of things. And looks like the riflemen are returning, but Fallschirmjägers, Luftwaffe troops have been sent in to assist. More sticky bombs going off. Anti-tank gun also ready. Those Fallschirmjägers hit a mine. They should have stayed right there. Riflemen taking heavy losses, down to 1 man in 1 team. Barely any health. Oh dear, only 2 men left, but the Panzer IV goes up in flames and smoke. A good shot from the anti-tank gun, which immediately pulls back. Good show there by Rommelslayer and Veteran C1 as well. And the Fallschirmjägers will of course have to move about, but still, he probably should have been standing still with them, although getting the FG-42 is never a bad idea, although that's not to say that unupgraded Fallschirmjägers are bad. Quite the contrary, they can be quite lethal, in particular if they can spring an ambush. Kettenkrad going for the Eastern Territories. Luftwaffe troops arriving as well. Although continuing this stage of the war, they could have well been Luftwaffe Volksgrenadiers, since, well, Luftwaffe troops will quickly find themselves rounded up for forces in the Volksgrenadiers, alongside Kriegsmarine troops, Reichsarbeitsdienst, and other fun bits. And the Kettenkrad goes out of control, spotting another mine, but will Raubspinne be aware? Is of course the question. And now a tank depot as well, really sneaky from Rommelslayer, not just hanging about, but going for the heavier stuff to deal with the Panzer Force. All the other bits, anti-tank gun, fully reinforced and healed. Might want to consider pulling that into the front line. And now getting repaired as well, good show there. Fallschirmjägers ready for reinforcements. Panzer IV moving in, anti-tank half-track replacing the Panzer IV on repairs, and another Kettenkrad. That's the 3rd Kettenkrad, I do believe. Could have been the 4th, I suppose. Opel Blitz getting crushed. Another Opel Blitz going up in flames. Apparently the driver there has a problem with Opel Blitzes. Never mind the fact that I suppose they could have been used to bring in the 116th Panzer Grenadiers, but sadly no more.
Artillery support is now available.
Further Panzer Grenadiers advancing towards the east with the support of the Panzer IV, but they will probably be hitting another mine. Again, I can't really say that Mr. Raubspinne is quite aware of the potential of mines, and there we go, hitting another, although no losses this time around. Nothing from the tank depot. Fallschirmjägers charging in, FG-42s blazing. Find themselves rather quickly outgunned though. And scorched as well. Fallschirmjägers might want to retreat here. And artillery being called in the east. Panzer Grenadiers need to get away. Somehow they miraculously... No, dear, he didn't retreat. Lost another Panzer Grenadier team. This is certainly going towards the end for Mr. Raubspinne and his 116th Panzer Division troops. Butterfly mines actually being used, killing a few riflemen, but there's actually nothing really there to take advantage of it. But now Luftwaffe troops and an anti-tank gun apparently moving in to deal with this. Not entirely sure what they will be able to achieve. No, he's putting up a flak feeling awfully close to enemy lines. That's not what I'd recommend at all. Sherman on the way though. Engineers moving in. Luftwaffe troops are going to be quite exposed. They need to stop building it. Engineer gets killed by the anti-tank gun. There's absolutely nothing to support. Oh dear, Luftwaffe troops taking heavy fire. Get out of there, Luftwaffe troops. Fallschirmjägers moving in. Oh dear. That was absolutely terrible. Again, do not keep troops around when they're under fire and building something. I mean, that's bad. And he's not even cancelled the flak feeling. And it looks like this anti-tank gun is going to be lost as well. There we go, it is lost, and the flak feeling is still left behind. Not cancelled, and the resources regained. Floating a bit of manpower and fuel. Again, I'm not liking this one bit at all.
Sent your mission orders.
Only 2 infantry teams left of anti-tank half-track and a Panzer IV. Panzer IV hits another mine. And getting more Luftwaffe troops. Sherman advancing through here, hitting butterfly mines, but they do absolutely nothing to the Sherman. Raw. And I do believe Mr. Raubspinne doesn't actually have anything that can deal with the Sherman, most tragically. There we go, the flak filling was destroyed. A waste of resources. And really looks like things are completely deteriorating beyond Raubspinne's control. Infantry is getting lost, units getting neglected and blown to bits. This is very bad. I mean, he did alright in the beginning, but then sort of things begin falling apart, and he never really recovered, I fear. Now things are really biting him in the ass. And the Panzer IV taking on the Sherman, but the Sherman with his high velocity gun will be able to deal with this. Panzer IV. Fallschirmjägers charging ahead, but they are not going to be able to do much even with a Panzerfaust. There we go, Panzerfaust and the Sherman doing a bit of damage, but taking heavy losses and forced to retreat. More Panzer Grenadiers on the way, but nothing to actually deal with that Sherman. Let us speed things up a bit. Kettenkraut taking quite a bit of fire there in the east and is lost. Going for the Panzerjäger command. He's probably going to be getting some Marder 3s to try and help him. And looks like there is a charge from the remains of the 116th Panzer Division. Riflemen coming under heavy fire. Sticky bombs being thrown at the Panzer IV.
We must protect our munitions.
Damaged engine, but the Panzer Grenadiers and Fallschirmjägers are still nearby. There we go, what is probably the last assault in this game. Marder 3 on the way. Numerous anti-tank guns ready, including one taken back from the Wehrmacht, or the 716th. Fallschirmjägers getting absolutely shredded, having hit a mine again. He's just sending his troops, and Rommelslayer, of course, keeping up the nice supply of mines very nicely. Panzer Grenadiers getting slaughtered by the Sherman, gaining veterancy 1. Anti-tank half-track moving in as well, but this is really a kill zone for armor now. A Sherman with an upgraded gun and 2 anti-tank guns.
Now available to aid our worthy cause.
No, he wasn't getting the Marder 3, he was only getting the upgrade for it. Sherman's opening up on the Panzer Grenadiers, trying desperately to hold out here by these tank traps, also known as Czech hedgehogs. And 2 Panzer Grenadiers lost again, leaving behind only 1 anti-tank half-track moves in, immobilizes the Sherman. Panzer Grenadiers are retreating, and the anti-tank half-track finds themselves under fire, out of control, and right into a wall. And some artillery being called in right here. Luftwaffe troops somehow survive it all. Marder 3 moving in with its Pak 40 75mm gun. And it comes under fire from anti-tank guns. Oh dear, and lost in seconds. There we go. Raubspinne pulls what remains of the 116th under his control out of this small town. Quite well aware that there might be a post on the Eastern Front with his name on it. So there you go. Well, what can we learn from this fight? I mean, it was a bit short, but I thought it interesting, in particular again, due to rather interesting use of mines. The M8s didn't quite work out as well for him, though. The Panzer IV rather put a stop to them. That was unfortunate. Bit of a bad maneuver there from Rommelslayer. Otherwise, good usage of mines, good constantly attacking from other bits, and of course, rather interesting use of tank traps. You rarely see it, but that certainly doesn't mean you shouldn't be trying to do it, and it might even have given Rommelslayer a minor advantage. Of course, it limited Mr. Raubspinne's movements. Otherwise, nice to see a Sherman tank, and otherwise nice to see that he held on. But really, Raubspinne's problems really came down to unit preservation, actually having enough infantry on the field, and rather preparing himself for armor vehicles, which didn't quite seem to do. And of course, again, unit preservation, and of course, knowing when to build stuff at the front and when not to do it. And when not to do it is, of course, when you actually have no idea how close the enemy is and you immediately come under fire. But there you go. I hope you enjoyed this, and cheers.